All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're going to reverse engineer a total tragedy from an ancient fable to uncover a timeless lesson about boundaries. We're looking closely at a dynamic that plays out literally every single day in modern boardrooms, relationships, and social circles, but we're going to explore it through the lens of a classic cautionary tale.
But before we get into the story, I want you to really think about something. Have you ever taken the fall for a toxic friend? Or maybe a reckless coworker? Have you ever let someone into your inner circle only to suffer the severe consequences of their bad behavior? Because, well, that is exactly what happens in our story today. It's a pretty harsh reality of human nature, and it's perfectly captured in a very unexpected place. And this beautifully illustrates our source material. We're looking at an excerpt from the Panchatantra. If you aren't familiar, it's an ancient Indian collection of interrelated fables that dates back over 2,000 years. Here we meet our two main subjects, a bug and a flea. Through their brief interaction, we're going to extract a highly analytical look at risk, trust, and the devastating consequences of letting the wrong people into your carefully curated life.
Section 1. The perfect setup. A calculated routine.
So let's start with our victim, Mandava Sarpini. Before everything went completely sideways, she had this perfectly calculated, incredibly comfortable routine. She's a white flea living the absolute dream. She resides in the folds of an exquisite white silk sheet in a beautifully decorated royal bedroom. She has an immaculate system in place, she drinks the king's blood completely undetected, and lives her life very, very happily. She's found her niche, essentially acting as middle management in the royal bed sheets, and she is thriving safely.
Moving on to Section 2, the unwelcome guest, a disruptive element.
Enter Agnimukha, the bug. He literally creeps out from the shadows and infiltrates the royal bedroom, desperate, faint, and driven by this gnawing hunger. Naturally, Mandava Sarpini, the flea, spots him and immediately tells him to get out. She recognizes the sudden, immediate threat he poses to her perfect setup. But Agnimukha doesn't just leave. Instead, he stands his ground and deploys an absolute masterclass in manipulation to secure his spot.
Notice the stark contrast between our two subjects here. It's like night and day. On one side, we have the flea's baseline, patient, cautious, and disciplined enough to wait for the king to fall deep asleep before acting. But on the other side, we have the bug. He's reckless, impulsive, starving, and entirely driven by immediate gratification. These deeply mismatched temperaments are a guaranteed recipe for disaster. So how does the bug get past her initial rejection? Well, he appeals directly to her ego and societal guilt. He coos, "A lady householder should hold out her hand. You are looking rather thin. Are you well? I am delighted to see you again." He uses extreme flattery and lays on this thick, fake etiquette to guilt her into being hospitable. He's essentially weaponizing social norms just to force his way into her good graces.
And once he's got her softened up, boom, he reveals his true motive. He states, "I think it must be very sweet, for he has been eating the choicest food. Let me too have a share of it." He wants the sweet blood of the king. He's assuming the king's luxurious diet makes for the best meal, and his raw greed just takes over. But notice that he begs for just a small share of her established, hard-earned success. Because, that's the thing about toxic intruders. They rarely ask for everything up front. They just ask for a share.
Which brings us to Section 3, a fatal bargain, a deadly negotiation.
Instead of just kicking him out, the flea tries to manage the risk. She establishes strict rules of engagement to protect her setup, laying out these exact steps for the bug to follow. Step 1. Wait until the king has gone fast asleep. Step 2. Bite gently, unlike a sharp needle. She's operating under the illusion that by micromanaging his behavior, she can somehow control his chaotic nature.
And, entirely predictably, the bug is all too eager to make a fake promise. He enthusiastically proclaims, "Oh, I do promise. I will even swear to wait until you have sucked his blood before I suck it myself." He tells her exactly what she wants to hear with this exaggerated insincerity. This highlights a massive danger we all face, trusting someone's empty words and promises over their demonstrated character and current state of desperation.
Now we hit Section 4, the betrayal, a rapid escalation.
As you can see, things fall apart incredibly fast. Nightfall hits, the king lies down. Immediately, the starving bug's mouth begins to water. He ignores every single rule they agreed on and bites the king sharply, like a needle. Seconds later, the king jumps up, absolutely furious. The bug just couldn't control his impulsive hunger, instantly ruining the delicate balance the flea had curated for so long.
And right here is where absolute tragedy strikes. The king yells out that something bit him. His servants rush into the room. They search the bed with sharp eyes. And what happens? Well, the guilty bug, the one who caused this entire crisis, scurries away into the shadows and hides himself in a dark corner of the bed. But the innocent flea, who is so accustomed to being safely stationed in the folds of the sheets, is left entirely exposed and discovered.
Section 5. The tragic consequence. Escaping accountability.
The ancient text explains this betrayal with a deeply profound psychological observation. It notes, you cannot change a person's temperament by preaching. Even boiled water will finally get cold. I mean, that is just brilliant. You cannot fundamentally change an impulsive, reckless nature just by setting rules or making someone promise to behave. Eventually, their true nature, their baseline temperature, will return, and it is going to dictate their destructive actions.
Finally, Section 6. The timeless moral. The ultimate takeaway.
Refrain from entertaining a man whose character is unknown. The bug was at fault, but instead they killed the flea. This is exactly why this text matters today and what you absolutely must take away from this explainer. Associating with toxic, impulsive, or untrustworthy individuals almost always means you will be the one holding the bag. You will be the one who pays the heavy price for their inevitable mistakes.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a pretty provocative thought about your own life and your own inner circle. Who are you letting into your folds? Are you currently negotiating with a bug who is destined to upend your hard-earned peace? Think really carefully about the character of the people you invite into your space. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this fascinating text, and remember to keep your boundaries strong.